Hello and welcome to my Detailing the White Way video series. 3 tips and tricks from a professional detailer. Today we take a very quick look at how to safely and effectively remove badges from the back end or sides of your vehicle. So hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jim, owner and operator of WhiteDetails. If it's your first time here, be sure to hit subscribe for future content and updates, as well as digging back into the archives where you'll find dozens of archived footage, some 30-40 minute episodes, as well as finding WhiteDetails over on Instagram. In today's episode, we're looking at how to debadge your car. An adhesive badge stuck on the back. It might say CDI, HDI, TFSI, GTI, VTEC. It might say 320D. It might be a C-class. It might have, in this instance, Vogue SDV8 stuck on the back. Some people like the badges, some others prefer them without. Perhaps for a more cleaner, aesthetical, symmetrical back end. Not to mention that it's actually easy to clean the car, safe washing the vehicle without the chance of the wash mitt snagging on the sharp edges of the lettering. Normally you're left with the lint or the microfiber stuck underneath the... And at times it might be that certainly here at WhiteDetails, we're chasing paintwork perfection. If we're performing the full white detail package, the major paint correction detail, around the lettering it's going to be tarnished and grubby. If it's a 53 plate vehicle, it's got years of contaminants and dirt and embedded tarnished stains that it's very difficult to shift without removing the badge to then polish it properly. So it's each to their own, really. The Vogue customer, their previous Vogue at Westminster, this underwent the same treatments. They prefer the back end to be clean and symmetrical. So I've got 5 easy steps, which is my process on how to debadge the car. But first, we're going to take a look at the kit required. You will find the following items in the video description down below should you want to look into this further. First and foremost, a source of heat, so be it a heat gun or a hairdryer, some way of applying heat to the badge so the adhesive can soften. Number 2 is either fishing line or dental floss. This is actually used to make a sawing effect behind the badge to cut through the adhesive. With the physical badges off now, the third thing you're going to want is a tar and glue remover, something that's going to help lift the sticky residue that's left behind. And then finally, no matter how clean you get the area with the tar and glue remover and residue free, it's going to need a polish. There's going to be an outline, there's going to be some tarnishing or even light scratching on the surface from where you've been handling the paint, thus requiring a polish by hand or machine. With the badges removed, is it possible to reuse the badge and put them back onto the car? Not really. You can, of course, cut your own stencil out on double-sided tape and stick the badge via double-sided tape back onto the car. But it's messy, it's not going to be as OEM, it's not going to be factory. It's worth, if you do want to put the badge back on the car once you've cleaned the area up, as per my WhiteDetails, contacting the supplying dealership for the vehicle, a new badge with self-adhesive backing already in place on templates, perhaps 20, 30, 40 pound. Moving on to the process, 5 simple steps. Heat, cut, pick away the adhesive, clean, and then polish. Before we go on to that, here's some sample footage of the wash and decontamination that the Vogue received prior to the badges being removed. Obviously it is advised, it is recommended that the vehicle is given a safe wash before we go on to remove the badges. vehicle now inside and completely blown dry, step number 1 is to apply some heat. Via the heat gun, a hairdryer, whatever you may have to hand. The day whilst filming was a particularly cold day, so everything was pretty stale, pretty cold, brittle. It needed a bit of heat. Obviously being careful not to apply too much heat. The panel doesn't want to be that hot that you can't touch it. You want to always be comfortable whilst feeling the paint. It doesn't want to get too hot. But you'll soon start to see the lettering starting to soften. They'll start to move and you'll know that the adhesive is softening, ready to be cut. Work in a small area at a time, localized, before step number 2, which is actually introducing the dental floss or the fishing wire, which you're going to use behind the badge to cut away the lettering. Try not to be tempted to lift the letter away from the panel. Allow it to fall, allow it to drop away naturally. If you pull from one side, if it's a sharp edge on the other end, which is actually making contact with the paint, you might find that you can leave impressions or indentations on the paintwork and the lacquer from where it's dug in as you're levering it from one side, trying to yank it off or pull it off. Allow it to fall away for best results. With the Vogue and the SD-V8 badge now removed, there's quite a chunk of material left behind. This is the adhesive that's remained stuck to the panel as opposed to the back of the badge. All it takes is a little more heat to soften it further, and you can literally rub it away. You can lift it, pick it, rub it, pick it off the paint. Albeit if you do end up doing this too often, you will get a blister on your fingers. Before the tar and glue remover chemical comes into play, this is now lifting, dissolving, wiping away the remaining tacky residues and the outlines before we think about polishing. So now that the area is clean, what's left is to apply a bit of a polish. The surface residue has been removed, but if we look closely in certain lights, you'll see there's perhaps an outline of the lettering, the V, the O, G, U and E. In an attempt to remove this by hand with a readily available polish, an all-in-one paint cleanser, cleaner and protection, Auto Finesse Triple, worked into the paint and buffed away, you will see that this actually hasn't been enough. It needs more cut, it needs more abrasive to be able to level the paint, if you will, to remove the outlines. Stepping up a notch now to Menzerner 400, which is one of my go-to cutting compounds for machine polishing. By hand, this product is used underneath the door handles or really tiny small intricacies and inaccessible areas which even the Rupes Nano Hybrid can't reach. Given enough work, given enough pressure and time, it can correct defects in paintwork, but you've got to give it some time and be patient with perhaps 2 or 3 applications. Applying it to a microfiber applicator and rework in the same area. But again, after just the one hit, you'll see there's an outline still present. We haven't been able to cut back the paint to where we actually want it to be. Perhaps a second, third application would do the job. But this vehicle is actually booked in for the paint correction details, so we're going to machine polish the area anyway. But that said, in natural light, you can't see the outline, you can't see where the lettering was anymore. Only under the intense light, the spotlight in the dark, can you see the visible outlines. But for best results, it's definitely worth machine polishing the area just to add that bit more cut. Before we move on to the polishing process, we're going to repeat the same procedure, 5 steps or 4 steps: heat, cut, pick, and clean on the Land Rover badge, which is on the offside of the tailgate. Similar to the outline where the Vogue lettering was, you can see the oval circular section where the adhesive has been sat, or the abrasions on the paintwork over the years. So this time we're going to machine polish this on DA, the Rupes LHR75, with a Lake Country microfiber cut pad and Benzerner 400. It's a lovely metallic.
It's nice.
As you can see, after a quick pass, the oval outline has been safely removed. There are one or two stray, deeper scratches seen here. These were revisited and then panel wiped with isopropyl alcohol to check the results before moving on to the rest of the vehicle. Which leads me on nicely to the rest of the car receiving a multi-stage machine polish. It wasn't a full-on major correction, a balance between a minor, let's say, and a major correction. So 90%, we're not chasing paint perfection. On average, a 2-stage cut, 3-stage cut to level the defects before we go on to refine the paintwork to boost the clarity and the gloss. The area that was transformed the most, perhaps in the truck, the paintwork being Corris grey, thus pretty forgiving, as I say, and difficult to photograph the defects on, were the notoriously soft gloss black sections, so the door pillars, the A, B, C, D pillar. As seen in the picture here, we've got a 50-50, there's a before and after. The top section obviously hazy, washed out, dull, scratched. The lower portion has been polished, it's been cut, waiting on refinement. It's a great example of the drastic transformation that these sections have, but also that the rest of the car has had to remove these surface defects to enable us to restore the paintwork. Certainly one thing to consider if we are to remove the badges and replace them with a new unit from the dealership or reuse the old items is before we take the badge off, the RS4 as seen here on the Miguel Blue Audi, we need to make sure of its exact location. There are a few options available. You may prefer to measure, take down some numbers, distance from the sides, distance from the top, making sure it's level. But where possible, I like to use tape. I like to utilize tape to make a template or a jig of some sort. Obviously, before the badge comes off, to locate the area that you're working with, do what you need to do, clean, polish the area, install the template again to reinstall the badge. And then we move on to the ceramic paint protection application. We move on to the interior treatments, the exterior trims and the details, then the finishing touches. So I'll leave you now with a very short compilation of after footage of the Vogue. In total, it was with WhiteDetails for 4 days treatments, and I'm sure you'll agree at the back end with the badges now removed, it's looking a lot cleaner. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're not already. Tick the notification bell for future uploads as the Detailing the White Way video series and vlogs are posted. Take care and see you soon.